This is for athletes who want to change the scoreboard. Hey, what's up everyone? We're going to be going over some sprint start variations today. These are some variations that I like to use with athletes to help them learn how to get out away from the line, have a quicker block start, have a quicker 40 start, faster acceleration. It teaches them to push, drive away from the line, and excel in a better fashion. You'll see a lot of athletes when they come off the line, when they're sprinting, in a very hunched position, or they'll be very bunched up, take short toppy steps, and that ultimately leads to them not getting anywhere, being very inefficient, and having poor times, or at least times that are much slower than what they're fully capable of doing. So when we set up, what we want to make sure that we do with all of our techniques is really drive away from the line and really think about pushing away from the line so that we can take these large, big steps, because your goal is to cover ground here for acceleration. Your number one goal is to be overcoming inertia and to get the body rolling. So in order to do that, you have to have longer ground contact times, which we know will occur at the starts. Your longest ground contact times will be at the start, and we want to make sure that we're pushing, driving out away from the line, and covering ground. The fastest sprinters take the least amount of steps to the finish line, so we want to make sure we're covering the most ground that we possibly can, and it's especially important during these initial phases that we're driving out and away, because our torso is going to be leaning forward. Think about trying to, again, get a car moving. If you were trying to push a car and it was in the standstill, that car, we have to get the car rolling, so we have to overcome inertia. So in order to push a car that's in neutral, we have to get down low, we have to get at a nice 45-degree angle that allows us to drive and push, and that will get the car to start moving again, so that'll help us overcome inertia. Same thing with the sprint start, we have to overcome inertia, so we're going to have a nice 45-degree angle that we want to see out of the acceleration, but we still want to make sure we're covering ground too, because that's also a very important quality of speed. But as you get to top end speed, when you're more upright, things are going to change a little bit. But in this particular video, we're just going to be talking about acceleration. So here's a couple drills that I like to use with athletes. The first one is a rolling start. So the rolling just allows the athlete to get some momentum, and it helps them achieve a better body position and angle that's needed for that nice 45-degree angle, whereabouts, and allows the athlete to use momentum to their advantage so they can get a feel for what the proper lean body position is in order to effectively drive out and cover as much ground as they possibly can. So we'll run it through here, let you see this first one. Start by taking one or two rolling steps to your start. So one or two rolling steps, and then really think about driving out away from the line, jumping out away from the line, thinking about covering as much ground as you can, jumping out and punching that opposite knee ahead. Okay, so as you can see here, again, the rolling start, purpose of it is to use momentum to help the athlete achieve a proper angle. And so when we first hit that line, and I'm focusing on seeing how much ground I can cover in 3 to 4 steps. That's really the only goal of this activity, is seeing how much ground I can cover in 3 to 4 steps. So my right leg is going to be my start leg. That's what I'll roll to, so it'll be a left and then right, and then you're off to the races. So right's the initial push off. We want to see that nice 45-degree angle, nice straight line running from the heel all the way through the head, and you can really see that I'm nice pushing out, throwing this arm back, and this arm's driving forward to get that nice arm action to really cover as much ground as I possibly can and really push out away from that line. Knee drive. If we're looking at the knee drive, the knee, we want to see that high, because that will again indicate how far we can actually drive out. So if you see a low knee, you really want to emphasize punching the knee ahead. And as we get into the next step, you can see here that I do a bad job of keeping my foot low to the ground after push off. This is more of a top end sprint posture where you have that foot a lot higher up. During acceleration, we want to keep that foot low to the ground after push off, and then pop the knee and drive the knee ahead. I hear a lot of coaches talk about the toe drag, and this is what they're referring to is during acceleration is that trail leg wants to just sweep across the bottom of the ground, and that's probably my weakest point of the acceleration is keeping that leg low and then punching the knee, driving it ahead. See, the second drive is probably where it's my weakest, but the knee, nice still good knee drive. Again, I want to emphasize getting out a little bit more as opposed to up, but overall not bad, nice extension there. On the left leg as well. Little late bringing that left leg through. As you can see, we're hitting the ground now, and now the knees are even with each other. And then third push, same thing. So again, 3 to 4 steps. How much ground can you cover? That's what you're looking to. That's your goal with this activity. But when we break it down, what we want to see is that nice extension, triple extension, nice straight line running through, knees being driving the knee up, and seeing how much ground we can cover, making sure we're going at a nice horizontal angle, realizing there is going to be some vertical displacement that occurs, but mostly we want to be driving out and not necessarily up during the acceleration phases. The next one is from a 2-point start, so we are removing momentum away from the equation. So it's just going to require us to create more force and to really drive out away from the line a little bit more, because now we don't have momentum on our side. Start in 2-point stance. So you're going to lean forward, putting most of your weight on that front leg, and then you're going to explosively jump out away from the line, trying to cover as much ground as you can in those first 3 to 4 steps. Think about jumping out, exploding out away from the line, covering as much ground as you can, and topping that knee, punching that knee straight ahead. Okay, so with the second one here, we're looking for a nice push off. Same thing, same rules apply. We're looking for nice extension here, nice 45-degree angle, good backswing happening, good arm action here in the front side too. Knee drive now is a little bit lower than it was during the momentum start, so could be working on punching the knee, but I think the overall trajectory is a little bit better, where you can see
this is a Chucky Beat.
It's more horizontal now as opposed to vertical. Now, one thing the momentum start does lead to is it leads to a more vertical posture, upright posture from the start, because you're kind of rolling into it from a standing position. So you're a little bit more upright, a little bit more geared towards top end speed with that momentum start that we showed previously. So you're going to see athletes push up a little bit more and have more vertical displacement with that rolling start, which isn't necessarily a bad thing again, but as we get more and more down into our true acceleration, 2-point stances, 3-point stances, we want to see that horizontal force occurring, and it's looking pretty good here. Hit the ground. So when we're accelerating, we want to try to keep the foot low to the ground as we come across, and it comes through the body, and then punch the knee forward. During top end speed, that foot and the heel will get a little bit higher towards the knee, but during the acceleration process, we want to keep it fairly close to the ground. So when we run this through here, you'll see as I push off, I allow my heel to come up really high initially, right there, and you can see the heel was pretty high there, and then it comes through. We want to keep that push and directly move the body forward, keeping that foot low to the ground, and then punch the knee forward so we can drive ahead. And the last start is going to be a push-up start, so this is getting the athlete lower than they typically would be for a normal start, and this is going to help almost exaggerate the opposite, so it's going to make it more difficult for the athlete. So when it comes time to do the normal start from a 2-point stance or a 3-point stance, it's going to seem much easier to be able to push out away from the line, which is where these drills come in handy, is making it more difficult on the athlete, so long as it's not so hard that it creates a real decrease in the mechanics. So we still want to see good mechanics, but realizing it's going to be the hardest version for the athlete to accomplish here. If they can do it with some competency, it's going to make the 3-point stance and the 2-point stance a lot easier to perform. You start in a push-up position, you're going to pop up and then drive out, jump out away from the line. You're trying to cover as much ground as you can on 3 or 4 steps. Think about jumping out to cover as much ground as you can, punching the knee ahead. Okay, so looking with this, when you pop up, what you're going to see with the athlete is a tendency to get really, really bunched up. So there's kind of that bunched up position, which is hard to get out of when you're in that push-up position. It's okay to pop the chest up because, again, we have to be driving out at a 45-degree angle. If we're so bunched up here, it's going to be hard to actually drive out. But again, the purpose of this was to accentuate the difficulty of the activity to make it easier when the athlete is more in an advantageous position, such as a 2-point and 3-point start. So so long as it's not looking terrible and it's looking somewhat efficient, it's a good exercise to be working on to overcome a difficult posture.
This is a tricky
So again, now we're out of it, the chest is up, we're able to drive ahead now because we're in a good position to do so. Not covering as much ground initially here, obviously. It's harder to create force coming out of that position than it was in the previous two. So it, again, works the athlete's ability to create force into the ground and propel themselves forward. And then again, as summary, we're thinking about trying to sweep that leg across, keeping the foot low to the ground as it comes level, even with the body. And then at this point in time, we're really punching that knee ahead, trying to drive forward, extending, pushing off that back line, trying to jump out away from the line as far as we can, covering as much ground as we can in the first 3 to 4 steps.